Hello. Hello. Oh, everyone's there. Okay. Lord Christus, you are in charge.
Hello, everyone. I am Lord Christus from Ghana. Um, I'm mining maintenance engineer. I hope you can introduce yourself.
Hi, Lord Christus. Thanks for having us. Should we start our presentation or introduce ourselves first?
Please introduce yourself first.
Sure. Okay, I'm Paula Intravaia. I'm co-founder of Cloud Club Collective, and I'm here with several other of my collaborators.
Hi, Lord Christus. My name is Holly Morey, and I'm from Cloud Club Collective as well. And we're so excited to be here.
Hello,
Wonderful.
everyone. Hi, Lord Christus. It's My name is Katie Ravich, and I'm here with my colleague Kathy Frazier. We're calling in from Italy, in a little place called Sestri Levante, and we have worked together on a project called the Kaleidoscope of You with Holly and Paula from Cloud Club. So it's a true multinational collaboration.
That's really amazing. And so the stage is yours. You can go ahead.
Sure.
Thank you. I wanted to know if my volume is better. I had an external microphone that apparently was making me quieter. Is this better? Okay, great.
Yes, we can. You can go ahead.
Thank you. All right. And so glad that Katie and Kathy are here. It's really remarkable and wonderful experience for us to be together. All right. So getting us started here and moving my icons over. And I'd like to take care of that. All right. Minimize myself. So, welcome to the Kaleidoscope of You, the Global Innovation Field Trip version. As Katie and Kathy just let you know, that they are in Italy. They had the opportunity to present an expanded workshop on this topic in Italy, and so we've taken what they've done and condensed it and adapted it here for the Global Innovation Field Trip. As I mentioned before, my name is Paula Intravaia, and with Cloud Club, Cloud Club is a collective of creative professionals from a variety of domains, and we apply the research from cognitive and neuroscience to the tools and techniques that we design to help expand creative consciousness. And I wondered if Kathy and Katie wanted to say a little bit more about Inside Out Creativity, whom we have the pleasure of collaborating on this workshop.
Great. Yes. Well, I have a business called Inside Out Creativity, and it's all about working with what we call in the applied creative practice field embodied creativity. More simply, is using your whole of your bodies to learn and to experience. In this case, in this workshop, the state of when we are working with effort and then when we are resting. And there's a very important principle in creative practice called creative incubation. So that's the time when we take a pause from what we are doing and use creativity to extend our ideas and our thinking in our practice. So in this particular workshop that we've just held here in Italy for CREA, which is a creativity conference, we had people actually walking a physical loop, like you can see in our logo. They walk this loop of effort and rest while we won't give it away too much because we're going to do something very wonderful in a moment that we collaborated it on. But yeah, it's embodied creativity is what we were asking our participants to experience here in CREA. And Kathy, do you want to say something?
I think you covered it. That sounded great.
Well, thank you both. And as I mentioned before, Holly is my co founder. And so we're going to go ahead and jump right into our workshop so we can get everybody's creative juices flowing. So, to begin with, we're talking about a kaleidoscope and knowing that this is a global experience and not wanting to assume all cultures use the same term for kaleidoscope or have access to playing with a kaleidoscope. We just wanted to share with you what we mean by a kaleidoscope and the metaphor kaleidoscope of you. So Katie shared this wonderful meaning definition that it means to observer of beautiful forms, and the root of those words, kalos, eidos, and scoping, beautiful form, to look. Okay. And we're ready to move in.
So wherever you are, please join us in this activity. We would suggest maybe having a pencil and paper, or you can also use your hand and a finger from the other hand. So we're going to actually create this infinity loop. So I'd like you to go ahead and draw an infinity loop. And if you just have your hand, start to begin to feel it on your hand. So be drawing that magical symbol, the sideways number 8, onto your hand, or you can use a piece of paper and draw it on a piece of paper or whatever you have nearby. So after you have that loop started, on one side of the loop, we'd like you to think of things you did as a child when you were fully trying and it required a lot of determination. So think of things that as you were growing up, you really needed to put your mind and your heart into it, and it was maybe a little bit tough or hard work. And so that first part of the loop, that's where you want to be thinking about that. And as you come around the other side of the loop, you want to be thinking of things that come more naturally to you. So something that comes easy, something that when you first tried it, it just was very simple and it was a natural occurrence, something easy. And then while you're there, play with both types of situations. So moments of when things were more difficult or required a lot of determination, and then be playing with things that come more naturally or more easily. So as you're doing those activities and thinking about those things, we're going to give you a minute just to try those and be thinking.
And we'd really like you to use your finger or your pencil or even just your imagination to trace those loops.
And now we'd like you to trace it slowly, a few times, just very slowly. Okay, so what did you notice? What are some noticings that you might have? Anyone in our current audience that would like to chat with us? What are some noticings you had? If you have a touch screen, it can be very interesting. Ah, you could even use the loop on the screen to trace, right? So we're thinking about things that we noticed, and I want you to hold those questions, hold those noticings. Some people are saying it's very interesting. So what would happen if you looked at yourself differently? So don't answer it yet. Just hold that question in your mind. So we got another comment. It feels like a strange attractor in chaos theory. Interesting. Okay, let's take a breath as we move to the next slide. Thank you, Paula. So you can see here, this is our dream and engage part of our activity. And we're going to be thinking about making an acrostic poem. And you can see the letters kind of dangling down. On the right, you'll see we wrote, as an example, the letters for the word name. And so we would like you to use your name and to make an acrostic poem with your name, all the letters. We're going to begin with the first letter of your name. And we want you to select one word or I'm sorry, 3 words for each single letter. So 3 words for each letter in your name. And think of yourself as a kid before you learned what you were good at. So this is just for you as part of your personal journey. So right now, think about yourself as a child, even before you learned what you're good at now. And go ahead and jot down quickly 3 words that come to your mind when you see these letters, the letters of your name. So let's take for example, the letter N. So you might write nocturnal or nurse or nervous. And then go to your next letter in your name and write at least 3 words that go with that letter. So don't spend time thinking too hard about it. Just pull those out of your mind and write them down on a paper or somewhere close by. So we're going to give you a little bit of time to work on that. I know Paula's working on her letters in her name.
I'm doing my middle name this time.
Oh, very good. So maybe, Paula, should we do about 1 more minute? 2 more minutes?
Think about 1 more minute, unless we have some folks out there with really long names.
I'll tell you, it's a little bit difficult when you have 2 letters of the same 2 letters in your name. Then you have to think of 6 words.
I'm experiencing that with my middle name, Lee.
Oh, okay. All right, so hopefully we've given you enough time to jot some ideas down. And here are your next directions. So as you look at each letter of your name, we'd like for you to circle the word in which you feel is unexpected. So for the letter N in name, I think we said nocturnal, nurse, and there was one more. But perhaps when I'm looking at my list again, I might look at it and say, that's strange, nocturnal, that one, I don't know where that came from. So choose one from each letter of your name that was unexpected. It could be unexpected for many reasons, but go ahead and circle the ones that you feel are unexpected. Okay, Paula's going to take us from here.
Thank you, Holly. We're going to be doing something called incubation, and it's a part of the creative process. And we're going to think back to that unexpected word that you selected. And I want you to hold it in your mind as if it's a piece of colored glass. And just enjoy and listen while you hold that in your mind.
Welcome to your purposeful daydream. You are walking the infinity loop of effort and rest, moving from one curve of the loop, crossing the axis to the other, then returning again. Just like music is built through loops and layers, creativity moves in cycles too. A rhythm repeats, a sound returns, a small pattern shifts each time it comes around. Effort is the build, the focus, the gathering. Rest is the release, the space, letting go. Effort is the inhale. Rest is the exhale. As you walk the loop, you are practicing both. Breathing in, letting go. Now, imagine a kaleidoscope turning inside your mind. With each step, the pattern shifts. Light moves, colors rearrange. Fragments come together in a new way. A thought, an image, a memory, a possibility. Each one returns slightly changed. This is how creativity begins, through loops, through layers, through subtle rearranging. And as you keep walking, something softens. Your mind wanders. You are in your default mode network, where judgment quietens and imagination starts to lead. Like a kaleidoscope turning, your inner world keeps shifting. Pieces meet, patterns change. Something new begins to appear. There is nothing to solve here, only your rhythm to follow. Each step gently rearranging your inner world. Trust the loop. Trust what is forming, even if you don't fully see it yet. And as you return your attention to the space around you, remember, your creativity has its own rhythm and its own way of revealing itself to you. Now, what are you ready to create?
So that was a sliver of time that we had together to listen, to let the thoughts and ideas and memories and imagination that we have shift around inside our brains like a kaleidoscope. And what we found is that folks don't tend to take enough time to do that. And so thank you for taking a few minutes to pause and incubate there before we move into the next phase of our workshop.
All right. So we're coming back to our name. Return to your name again. Take a look at the different ones that you circled. Now, for each letter, choose one word from before or one that maybe just arrived. As you were going through the daydream, you may have thought of some different words that you'd like to add to your name list. So look through each one and see if you'd like to choose one word from before or one that just arrived. So go ahead and do that now. Take a look at your list. And for this one letter, we're going to choose the word that feels most different from how you usually see yourself. So once you've added other words to your list for each letter, if you had some that popped up, think about the word that feels most different from how you usually see yourself.
And Julie had a question about what the purpose of that was. Choose it for what reason? I would say we're choosing a different word to help us create shifts in ourselves. It's still a part of you, but maybe the less obvious.
So hopefully you've had time to look at the different words that go with each letter, and you've determined which word you would like to use for your letters. And you can go ahead and use those words to make your acrostic poem, going down, starting at the top with the first letter of your name, and then moving down, pulling aside those words that you chose. And that becomes our acrostic poem. And Paula's going to take the next step.
So acrostic, that's the same root from the word acronym. And so we'd love it if you shared either your poem or a little bit about the experience of the process. So maybe something, an insight you had, or a struggle you had, or maybe you're just excited to share your poem based on your name, your acrostic poem. So whether you do that in the chat, we would really appreciate that. And I'll start off by saying, typically I find acrostic poems, when I've done them, they tend to be descriptive. And this time mine came out like a little, it's not a haiku because it's just 3 words, but a little 3-word poem, and I'm very happy about that. And so my middle name is Lee, and so I came up with, and this shifted after we did the incubation phase. Thank you, Holly, for prompting us to choose things unexpected as well. And I wrote down leisurely embers elevate. Who's next? Ooh, I see a few. Jealous, intriguing maker. Thank you, Jim. It's
Jealous
interesting.
surprised me. I wasn't expecting that. It just
Oh,
popped out, but it's true.
well, that's what's so fascinating is just like a kaleidoscope reveals a whole new angle of the things that are already there. And I am fairly familiar with you virtually, and so I learned a little bit about you myself now. I knew that you were intriguing and that you were a maker, so the jealous part was interesting. Thank you for sharing. That took some intellectual courage. And thank you, Holly. Heart, octave, locket, love, yellow.
Octave sort of surprised me, but I think I was putting myself in that mindset as a young person. And, I was thinking about piano lessons and violin lessons and thinking about things kind of structured. So that was very surprising. And then it kind of had a theme that stuck out to me. Of just this like warm love feeling in all these words. Yellow to me, I couldn't figure out why I wrote yellow, but yellow represents sunshine to me and light and hope. So I know why that's sitting there, but that was a little bit surprising as well.
Wow, that's fascinating. Thank you. Again, learning, I know you very well, and that is wonderful new information and quite beautiful. Wow, Julie, thank you for sharing yours. Jules, underestimated, looming, inclusive. Wow, I can feel those.
I probably didn't do it right.
There is no right, right?
Well,
Uh,
I was
It's
thinking we were supposed to
wonderful.
be indicating what we felt or thought when we were young, really, really young.
Yeah, we
Oh, all
asked you to
right.
go back to your kid self.
Okay.
But if you drifted away from that, that's fine too. So, no, I think that's really wonderful. What was your most unexpected term?
Underestimated because I don't feel underestimated now,
Mm,
but I felt underestimated probably until I was in my 40s. I could
wow.
just hit that arch of age where you just don't care anymore and you're going to tell people you're not underestimated, you know,
Yeah.
older. So I don't feel that way
Oh,
anymore.
you became more assertive. That's lovely. Hmm. Okay, my goodness. Well, thank you all for sharing. We're going to be moving into some of the parts about giving you a little more background about what we did. We're actually following an educational arc where we start with an activity before the concept and then the concept before the vocabulary. So we'll be getting a little bit more into that so that you feel like you're walking away with some knowledge about the thinking behind what we're doing. And I appreciate you asking probing questions like you do. Thank you, Julie. And Kathy and Katie, please chime in. And I should have encouraged you to do that more previously. I want to make sure we're representing all of our work here. And but in particular, they are focused on the effort and rest components and the both and thinking. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that.
Great, thank you. We really enjoyed listening to those very creative self-identity as children. We go back into our memories and we pull out amazing insights about ourselves. So we learned more about you as well. That was great. So yes, these are two things they're concepts, but they're also things that you can very easily put into practice in your everyday life. So if we start with conceptually the concept of effort and rest, we need to in our lives both take time for effort, but also and take time for rest. If we put in too much effort, what happens? Well, we naturally need to take ourselves over in the loop, if you like, into rest and to restore and to replenish ourselves, to then go back into the loop to take more effort and put more effort into things. If we go into rest and we rest and we rest and maybe we're resting too much, we might do things like procrastinate. We might do things like lose the focus of what we're trying to do when we're putting in the effort into something. So in our lives, we are constantly in this motion of resting and putting effort into what we do. However, the really curious thing about effort and rest, and what we found when we did this with our participants here at the workshop in Italy, was that rest can also be a very active thing, because that's often when your imagination starts to really take off. You know, when you're lying on your bed or lying in the park, or you're sitting on the bus going home from school, or you're just wondering, you're wondering about something using your imagination. So rest can be a very active thing as well, just as effort can also be a very restful thing. So they kind of work in partnership, and we call that an interdependence. So they actually depend on each other to work. So maybe what you could do is think about examples of when you are putting a lot of effort into something and then you take rest, and then when you go back into what you're doing, how it changes and how it changed your perspective, like a kaleidoscope. How did that change? So maybe think of a project that you were working on, or an idea that you were thinking about. And maybe, Paula, it might be nice for people to just take 5 minutes to think about that.
Yeah, let's see if we have that much time. I think we've got 13 minutes left on our
Sure. Well,
presentation.
that's something to maybe incubate on later. And then I'll just say very quickly with both and is a way of thinking. So it's like when someone says to you in a conversation, yes, but, and that creates a big full stop, doesn't it? So you can't kind of continue that conversation. But if you use language when you're speaking with people and you're thinking about your everyday life, and you think of when someone says something to you, you say, and you're encouraging them to tell you more. You're thinking, well, I agree with you, and what else could you add? What else can you add to this to increase my understanding? So it can be very personal, but it can also be about looking at your ideas and bringing two seemingly opposing ideas together. So it works very nicely with that as well.
That's a really great segue for neuroplasticity, which the both and thinking, the using the effort and rest, the and thinking that is such a tenet of improv rather than yes, but you say yes and that toggling back and forth, it not only develops our creative stamina and helps us with our emotion regulation, but it truly rewires your brain. It creates new neurons. And I wondered if, Katie, if you had any insights on that. You do so much with the motion, the movement, and the back and forth with both and work. Did you have any other insights you wanted to add there?
Sure. Well, our body actually tells us a lot when we're moving. And often, whether we're not aware of it, we're unconscious, but our ideas will come into our body often when we're moving, and when we're talking with our friends, and we're talking about ideas. And then when you come to pause or to stop, those ideas will often come together. And so your body is giving you what they call interoceptive signals. Okay, so a common one would be, you feel hungry, so your tummy grumbles. We call that tummy grumbling in Australian language. I'm not sure what you say in the US, but your tummy grumbles, or someone says something to you that's really inspiring and your body kind of tingles. That's what you call interoceptive signals. But you can also use this as a way for your creative thinking. You can look for signs in your body that, oh, that feels good, when you know something feels good, and then you act on it. And so what you can do, you can walk this loop. You can actually set up your loop. We did it on a piece of paper because we're virtually, but you can set up a big loop somewhere in your garden or at school, and you can walk this loop with an idea and see what your body tells you as you walk around this loop. And then you can pause in rest and incubate, and then you think, oh, I've got another idea to add to that, go into effort. So it becomes a very active way to be creative, which is what we all need a lot more of now, don't we? We don't want to be sitting down to create. We want to be moving our ideas forward.
I love the idea or the concept or to imagine ideas in motion. Thank you so much, Katie. So what we've been doing, so now my page is unresponsive. We might lose this presentation. That's unfortunate, but that's okay. We can problem solve through this. I'm going to hit the reload button on my computer. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I may need to stop sharing and come back. So let me stop sharing for just a moment, and then let me reload what's happening on my screen. We're doing our presentation out of Canva, and Canva apparently needs some rest. It's been putting in too much effort.
I think while you're pulling that back up, Paula,
Yeah.
our next slide is talking about the creative process and how the creative process is the learning process. And we begin with preparation, and we go through this cycle of preparation, preparing for whatever task is at hand or whatever project we're coming close to. Preparing is allowing us to bring in different ideas from all different places, to collaborate with others, and be able to use that time to ideate and think big. And then we go into the incubation process. And I see, Paula, you've got it up. Do you want to continue?
Oh, sure. So thank you, Holly, for keeping us on pace here. Yeah, we've done a lot of preparing when we were working on our name acrostic poems. So we were concentrating and gathering ideas, and then we paused to incubate on that, and we did that with an audio guided experience. Like Katie was saying, you can take a walk, you can go wash your hands. There are a lot of ways for incubation to happen. You hear about those shower thoughts. And so a big component of what we do is make sure that in the creative process that is valued and there is time for it. Very often in schools and at work, we just have to be focused on productivity, and we just don't have time to stop and think. We have to do. So again, that goes back to that both and effort, rest, thinking. And that is what leads to illumination, the aha. Oh, that's it now, I get it. When the colored glass shifts and it makes a new pattern that really resonates. And then from there we can take it, we can share that idea, and we get some validation. Is it worth pursuing? Is it need some changing? And that's the creative process. And as you see it is the learning process. All right, let me find my next slide. And so speaking of incubation, what we did was purposeful daydreaming. And so purposeful daydreaming just means you do it on purpose. So you make the time for it. And if you seed your thoughts like we did, we asked you to do some thinking about your name and of yourself and of your childhood, and to pick a word that was unexpected and sort of hold it like a piece of colored glass. So we helped you transition out of your typical train of thought into your default mode network, which is the areas of your brain that light up when you're mind wandering and daydreaming. And the reason why it feels good if we allow it to feel good and purposeful like it is because it helps us not only think more creatively, develop that neuroplasticity, but it controls our emotions. We can go to our past. We can think of the future. We can rehearse scenarios that we have things coming up. We want to see what it might feel like to have a conversation with someone. So we're being more flexible in our minds. We can imagine what it's like to be like others. So that's how we develop our empathy. And through that, we start to develop our creative confidence. And that is a huge component of being a problem solver, because if you don't have the creative confidence to share your ideas and solutions, then they're just going to sit and not help the world like they might. And in the context of what we do with Cloud Club and what Katie and Kathy do, and what Inside Out Creativity is doing, is taking all these different creative thinking tools and techniques and mashing them up like you would in a kaleidoscope. And when you center it on purposeful daydreaming, or pair any of these types of thinking with purposeful daydreaming, our experience and our research has shown that it magnifies the effects. So semantic distance is putting different distance between the meanings of things. So we did that a little bit with your name by having you continue to think of other words that are related to you that also begin with that letter, but maybe didn't come to mind first. It took a little while. So we created some distance. Episodic memory, thinking back on our childhoods, activating our senses. So we're visualizing. When we're thinking of our past, we can smell things, we can feel things. When you're moving, you're activating those proprioceptive centers as well. And then metaphorical thinking, we're comparing ourselves to a kaleidoscope. We don't need to add things. There's all kinds of stuff in there. It just, if we shift a little bit and shift some more, then we've got a new perspective on things, and indeed a little bit of a new perspective on ourselves. All right, so
Image, a memory, a possibility.
This was what just happened in Italy.
Slightly changed. This is how creativity begins. Through loops, through layers, through subtle rearranging. And as you keep walking, something softens. Your mind wanders.
So that's that embodied practice where you're actually moving your body, moves your mind, moves your soul, and it's all part of the effort rest cycle. Okay. I know we're out of time, so unfortunately we probably don't have time for maybe more than one question. If you did a screenshot of this slide, you've got a lot of resources for you. You can go to Cloud Club's website at mycloudclub.org. You can go to insideoutcreativity.com. Katie provided these awesome QR codes if you want to experience and see more about the both and effort and rest. You can find us on Instagram, LinkedIn. Thank you for participating. It's been our pleasure.
This was cool. Thank you. Lots of really interesting insight.
Thanks, Jim. That means a lot coming from you.
Yes, thank you.
I wish I would have moved. I drew. I wish I would have moved.
I suppose if we do it again virtually, we'll say you can get up and move. Please do. That's a good tip. Thank you.
I always have regrets on some of the self-reflection though, because then it makes me think about things that probably I need to think about, but not necessarily want to think about.
That's part of the purpose of purposeful daydreaming, is to help keep us on a focus that's going to be productive. But you're right, sometimes we do need to reflect on uncomfortable things.
Oh, and you got to remember, it's a cycle, right? You can come back. You should come back and do it again. That's how we grow.
That's what I was going to say, Jim, is that now that you have this as information or knowledge, you can take it deeper And as you do the practice more and more, it just deepens that experience, and you start to get more and more insights about how movement is such a powerful way to learn. And we really did see that in the people that were doing this here in CREA. After the session, everybody was very quiet. They were very focused in a very calm way. And we took them back into the inside space because we were, of course, outside when they walked the loop. And it just took them a little while to click back into, oh, now we're in this space, and then they started to talk, and it was, it's very fascinating work. Thank you very much for that feedback too. It means a lot to Kathy and I as well.
Well, thank you all very much for your presentation. That's wonderful. As usual, it was calming. All the stuff that Paula does is calming, though it does make me reflect sometimes when I don't feel like I want to, but I know it's important to do. So thank you all so very much. We appreciate it.